Hi everybody and welcome to On a String for the final Design on the Fly Live for 2025. I'm Paula and I'm so thrilled to be able to do this session with you today. I'm actually working with Michelle from Beadworx, so thanks so much Michelle for the beads that are in this little package that we're going to unbox together in a moment. And I'm really excited to see what Michelle's put in here. There's a little sneak peek with a little Santa and a pussycat on there, so we'll go through and see what's actually in the package in a moment. I'm also really super excited. I have my little assistant Ivy with me today, so Ivy may appear on screen at some point, but she's sitting here colouring at the moment as well. So let's have a look and dive into what's in this Design on the Fly for Christmas. Okay, now please tell me too if there is a sound issue. I've had to switch microphones today, so I'm hoping that everything is appearing okay. I don't know until you tell me, but I'm sure everything's fine. So welcome Glenda and welcome Wynette. And look at this little pussycat charm here and the little Santa charm. So they'll be fun to be able to include potentially with whatever else is in here. We've got some lovely gold Christmas ribbon and some sparkly paper as well. So we'll see what's in here. And Michelle will have kits available for what's in here as well. And when Michelle gets online, she'll be able to put a link up of what's actually in this Christmas set. And I have no idea. Sound is good. Excellent. Thank you for confirming that, ladies. Okay, so we've got our Christmas themed beads here. And there's a list. I'll have a look at the list in a moment because I really like to unwrap them and see what's in here. Okay. We have some Papuka Lipsy beads. Now, if you've done classes with me, you know I love the Lipsy beads, but look at this one with a little bit of red and gold sparkle on them. I just put my glasses on so I can read it properly. They're going to be fun. So they're called Coral Red Gold Splash. So they'll be excellent. Oh, there's some more little Christmas charms. So this is a matching pair of little Santa charms here. So a pair of charms. I've also got some Amos beads in the 2-hole again. So this is the coral red. So these automatically start to go together. I can start to see how they'll appear together. We've got some 6mm cabochons with the crystal yellow rainbow colour. So they're a really great foundation for doing some building and things around with them. There's some 3mm bugle beads in silver lined gold. Great way to add immediate length and sparkle with a bugle bead. We've got some 4mm fire polish in a coral red. Some candy beads in the crystal AB colour as well. Some mini duos in the chalk gold splash. So this is beautiful, this sort of little bit of white with gold flecks. Look how well these look together. Straight away you can start to see them together. There's some crystal cream pearls in 3mm. Again, really great combos with the white there automatically. There's some Preciosa 3mm light cyan beads as well, some red crystal. Some red line crystal AB seed beads. I love it when suppliers give me these types of beads because I never would buy them myself. So it's a really good challenge for me to use those sorts of beads. Oh, some more little charms. Oh, these ones are nice. This is like a 3D sort of effect with a box with a little red crystal on them as well. So there's lovely earrings appearing here already. 13mm vintage cab Aurora red. So I don't know if that's got a hole. Oh yeah, they've got 2 holes in them as well. So again, with the white and gold colours, they look really good too. Oh, there's such a great selection here. Some 7mm or some 10.7mm Rivolis in the Preciosa brand in the light cyan as well. We've got some spacer beads, so white pearl luster spacers. So this is the Miyuki spacer, similar to the demi-round bead. There is also some white gold splash Kalos bead. I love a Kalos bead too, so that's another great one. And oh, look at this, some red Baroque crystals that look like little trees or crystal ornaments. So great selection. So let's get started. I'll just get some of this little sparkle off my desk. And I think, as I said, Michelle will have some kits available if you're interested in grabbing one of these. So she will have them and you can grab your own little Christmas set. So I think I might start with either the enamel charm or the enamel hearts. What do you think? Because automatically these, just grab them out of the bag. I've got the choice to put either the Rivoli or the Baroque drop with those. So straight away when I look at this type of thing, I start to think about what's the next layer if I want to make this, you know, a 3-drop earring, for example. So it's the Rivoli that potentially would sit with it. Then you could also then do, you know, the Baroque drop as well. I'd have to think about how to bead around the Santa to get the drop because there's nothing to join it. Or does the drop go on one of these Baroque? Probably goes on that, I would think. So that's sort of, there's one sort of design straight away. I can see how that would work in terms of earring. Then we've got the little hearts here with the Rivolis potentially. Then we've got the little crystal drops that may go with the candy beads. So there's just so much variety in this little pack. So look at all the great Christmas earrings that I can get out of this already. There's sort of 3 sets straight away that will all be different, but very Christmassy. And then of course there's things like these that will make a lovely pendant, particularly if I add Santa to the bottom of those. So really good selection of things to play with. All right, now Wynette and Glenda, seeing as how you're my lovely ladies on this morning, which ones do you think I should start with today? So we've got Baroque, Santa, or boxes. You tell me which one, and then we'll make a start on them and doing some, they're all going to have a different level of beading around them, I think. Whilst I'm waiting for your thoughts, I'll just grab some thread and get ready. And I'm using some crystal fire line today for that. Take that little bit of grey out of there because I'm going to use white and gold beads. So crystal is the best option for me to start with that today. So let me know, boxes. Okay, Wynette's come up with the boxes. Excellent with the candy beads. And automatically, because those candy beads have the 2 holes in them, I will be able to build out some of those. Baroques can be used apart from Christmas too, correct. Yeah, they're Christmas colours, but absolutely not necessarily straight up Christmas. So let's start with these ones. I'll pop those aside for the minute and then I'll go on to the Baroque ones. Okay, now the candy beads, as I said, they've got the 2 holes in them, and what I'm going to do is use those 2 holes to add some seed beads around, and the seed beads will come out of the 2 holes here. So you can see there where I put my needle through, like that they will just come straight through, and I can start to add some of these red beads. So I'm just going to pick up 4 beads to start with, and then I'm going to go through the next hole there as well. And straight away, I've got a nice little edge there of some of those red beads. I'll just make that tail thread a little bit longer to grab onto. Okay, so there's the first part done. Now, I'm now going to go on the opposite side, and then I'm going to also add 4 beads in that opposite hole as well. So now you can see I've got red beads either side of that candy bead. But what I'm going to do now is come up through the edge of the candy bead like this, and then I want to add beads to go over the opposite side here. And I want to try and keep the total count of beads to be an even number, but I think I'll probably need 6 size 11 beads to bridge that gap. So let's just pop 6 in and see what happens. Yep, that's a good number. And then I'll come all the way through those first 4 beads that I added. So you can see now I've sort of got 3/4 of the candy bead now has a little rim around it. And now I'm going to pick up another 6 size 11 beads like that and go through that again. So all of a sudden I've got this really nice ring around that candy bead. I'm going to run my thread through all of those beads again so that the ring is really neat and tidy. And it's still got a couple of little gaps there. You know, if I sort of stretch it out, you can see where it's a little bit gappy. I'm okay with that though, because I want to be able to add other beads in around the edge. And if I make it too tight and too small, I won't be able to do that. So I'm okay with having a slight sort of gap there to be able to put other beads in, and I want to join onto that little box there as well. So I need to have some sort of flex around that edge to be able to do it. So we'll keep going all the way around. You can see there's my little edge. Now, this is a white and gold sort of theme here with these boxes. So let's think about what Michelle's given me here. Definitely the Miyuki spaces. So a spacer bead is this really nice large hold but thin. Large hold but thin is the way I would describe it. So I'm just going to hold that up close so you can see that sort of spacer bead there. So large hole, like a size 8 bead hole, but they're going to just pop nicely in between, and I think I might just pop them in every second bead here. I'm only guessing at the moment what this might look like, but I think that'll be fine. So I'm going to do every second bead, and then my next step I think will be to add potentially a little red crystal in between. So what I'm doing is building out a sort of, oh, I've gone too far, that one. Building out a little decoration on the edge of the candy bead. But what the little gap here now gives me the foundation to add something else in afterwards. So it's all about, you know, creating some width in this piece. So the little red and white, and, you know, this will work well with the little box, but it could also work with the Baroque sort of set too. You know, there's a repetition there as well. I've done that again, gone through too many, skipped over too many. So I just need to go through two. So that little gap in the thread is really helpful now to be able to just fit that spacer bead in really neatly. And it's just firming up that edge also. So I hope some of you are doing some Christmas beading along with me as well. Ivy is sitting here doing some decoration on some acrylic shapes. We've got some acrylic Christmas tree shapes there, and she's doing some decoration on those. So we'll get her to show hers on camera shortly when she's done a little bit more work. And then Ivy and I are going out making gingerbread houses this afternoon. So we're going to have a lovely day doing Christmas activities, aren't we, Ivy?
It will be so fun.
It will be fun. Okay, now it's just, that one's just misbehaving. Okay, so you can see there, and remember I put on 20 beads at the start. So I should now have 10 little spacer beads around the edge, which I do. So the last one is obviously the one that's a little bit firmest to get that in, but I just want to really force it so that it pops into place there. There we go. Okay, so I've got a really nice edge there now. And now I can actually add something in between those gaps. So I know Michelle had given, we've got lots of choices. We might try those actually, the mini duos. Gold splash again, so the white and gold. And there again, another 2-hole bead, and they will just pop in between that little gap nicely. Yep, look at that. So I'm making sure they've got a little domed effect on them as well. So I've got to pick them up in the right direction to create that little edge there. And I mean, what I'm doing here is very Christmas color themed, but the technique can be applied across any sort of decoration. It doesn't have to be Christmas colors. So if you know, looking at ways to create little components for the tops of earrings, this is a great way to use up small amounts of beads, like, you know, a couple of candy beads and mini duos, some spacers, and all of a sudden we've got a really nice sort of star-shaped piece appearing here as well. So what are your thoughts so far on this? I mean, I'm literally designing these as we go, and there is certainly, I think, things that you could utilize in other beading projects. So again, it doesn't have to be Christmas themed, but the tips and things that you learn today, you will be able to apply across other earring or component design. Okay. And as I said, Michelle will have kits available for these if you are interested in grabbing some of those too. Now, because these are a 2-hole bead, the mini duo, again, I have that great, you know, opportunity to add something else. Now, it's slightly thready. When you see here, there's slight threads here, either side. I think I'll possibly pop a 15 either side of that, but I'll continue on before I do that. But I just can sort of see that it needs something either side of that gap. Now, because they're a 2-hole bead, what I'm doing is I'm changing direction. So I've come through the bottom of the first mini gem duo that I added, and then I'm coming up through the opposite side. So I'm changing direction so that I'm still coming through out of the hole of one of those 2-hole beads. Now I want to add something else into that gap. Now Michelle's given me some Preciosa Light Cyan beads, which I think are perfect, but I've only got 12 and I need 20. So I either have to go to my stash and see if I've got some of those or think about something else. So let's just continue the theme potentially of these red beads, and I'm going to grab out some of my gold 15s over here. That's an 11, because I want to continue that sort of theme of gold and red. I'll just add some 15s in here. So again, you could add a bicone, you know, lots of different things, but I'm being careful on how many of those I'm using. So I'm going to pick up a red, gold and red bead and just add that little picot edge on the outside of those mini duos like that. And I will come back and pop some 15s in between because it is a bit thready. So red, gold and red in between each of those. Yep, that will work. So some really fun, quick and easy Christmas themed earrings. So those enamel charms that Michelle has provided here today. I've certainly got lots of different bits and pieces of those that I've collected over the years. And they're a quick way, if you want to make earrings for gifts for people, they're a really quick way to add a, you know, immediate sort of Christmas theme to something. And, you know, they're a great way to create an asymmetrical pair or, you know, a mismatched. You don't have to have two of exactly the same each time either, but yeah, you can if you've got pairs of them. But I love to do them a bit quirky and create pairs of opposite things. So a snowman and a snowflake, or a gingerbread man and a Christmas penguin type thing. So yeah, certainly can mix it up with those enamel charms that are available at Christmas time. Okay. So what do we think of this so far in terms of a really good base design for Christmas themed? It's got the gold and red and white with this. And we've utilised, you know, 2 different styles of 2-hole beads. Now, when I pull that tight like that, have a look at that. It actually really domes quite a lot. So I could dome it either way. I could dome it so that they go a bit more out like that, which creates a bit of depth, and then build out the back. That's possibly something to do. If I wanted to keep it flat, I'm going to have to do, you know, add more beads in either side. But I quite sort of like this idea of doming it and then maybe building out the back with some bugle beads or something. So I think there's, you know, flat is easy, you know, look at that, done. But I think I might build on this a little bit more. So we might add some bugles and build out the back. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to come up through the gold center bead that I just added there and sort of flip my work over. Let's find the bugles. Let's, you know, add a bit more structure and depth to this. So the little 3mm bugles, as I said, bugles are a really good bead for building length really easily into your projects, because you're essentially adding, you know, 3 or 4 beads at once. So I'm coming out through a gold. I'm going to pick up another gold, a bugle, and a gold bead. And I'm going to go back through the spacer right at the back there, like that. See how I've just sort of popped that at the back? So what this will also help do is fill in that little gap at the very first one that I started with. I'm going to go back through the gold bead, through the red, and through the next gold, like that. And what I've done is create this sort of little wall of bugle at the back of my piece here. So as much as it started to dome, it actually gives a bit more structure to the back here as well. So I'm going to continue that around. So I pick up a 15 a bugle and a 15, go back through that center spacer bead and repeat that again. So bugle 15 and 15 bugle 15 through the spacer and then right through the 5 beads like that and through the gold. Okay, let's have a look at that. So again, trying to build a bit more structure and depth on this piece. And what it also will enable me to do is build some sort of fringe off the bugle bead as well, if I want to. The other thing with a bugle bead, I tend to always use a size 15 or a bead either side of the bugle. They're really sharp and they can cut your thread in the blink of an eye. So when you're doing something like this, just remember to put, a little spacer bead either side of it so that it protects your thread, particularly when you're using fireline. So you can see there how that little structure is now just happening either side, and we've created a bit more depth and weight with this piece. Yeah, good fun. So I think Michelle is she's forgotten the time difference. So, of course, Michelle is based in Queensland and we are here in Melbourne. So they're an hour behind us up in Queensland. But Michelle's been kind enough to provide the beads today from Beadworx. And she, as I said earlier, she'll have some kits. And I think she's going to pop a link into the chat where you can actually purchase your own Christmas-themed kit if you want to. And you can then check back on this video and make some of these bits and pieces if that's what you'd like to do, or come up with your own designs as well. A few more gold beads there. Great selection, Michelle. I'm really, really happy with these Christmas themed beads. There's lots and lots of options for earrings and pendants, and potentially even we might think about a Christmas decoration or a bauble ivy maybe. I might get a bauble out and think what we could do with that as well. So my little helper Ivy is with me today and she's decorating some acrylic shapes for Christmas.
You already said that.
I did already tell people, but some people come a bit later, so they mightn't have heard it the first time. I will repeat myself a lot today, Ivy, because people come in and out. So I'm just getting schooled by my 7-year-old granddaughter on what I'm saying, as you do. Okay. Is half done. So look at how that depth actually sort of happens now. You can see bits and pieces coming through. And it just makes the whole piece feel a bit firmer as well. Uh, 15 bugle and 15 either side. So what this will also tell me when I finish this particular round, will I have to go back down to that center and add a 15 or something either side of the spacer? I don't know until I flip it over and have a look. But that was my sort of concern at the start, that it was a little bit gappy and thready, but this may have solved that. So we'll see when I flip it around whether that's the case. But they start to get a really, good flowered depth with them by adding other layers of beading. Okay, lucky last one. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Just going to come out through that center gold bead again, the first one that I started with. Okay, so now I've got some really good depth and weight to that piece. And if I want to build a little bit more out, I can do that with these sort of bugle beads. So let's go back down and I'm going to come back through a center bead there at the back. And what are we going to add this time? So this time I'm trying to get, you can see how it's sort of angled here in that direction. I'm trying to get that sort of square up. So I need to do something that's going to build up that area there. Let me just have a bit of a think about that. But look at that. This looks really ruffly now as well. Potentially the Kalos beads might, they're a bit gold. I need something a bit whiter, I think. Might do some more mini, no, that's not going to work either. As you know, when I'm doing these, it very much is me designing on the go. So I don't know what I'm going to make until it happens. I'm actually going to pop a red bead. So let's just try one single red bead from bugle to bugle and see what happens with that. Yep, that's going to work. Okay, so now I'm going to do one single red bead from bugle to bugle. So I'm going up and down those bugle beads that I added. So one single red and then down the bugle bead like that. One single red, up the bugle bead. So when you have a look at that now on that edge, you can see how that's just sort of bubbling out a little bit more red on the outer edge. That's created that sort of third layer of structure and depth to these. And it's only simple. It's only one simple bead, but the concept actually really flattens out those bugle beads and edges. I still think I probably need something in the center, but I'll come back to that. And all of a sudden now we've got a really nice roughly edge. So remember when I first started this, it was just a plain flat circle, which is nice and easy to do, but I like the idea of creating more depth and layering with something like this, which is what these sort of, you know, 3 layers now with the mini duos, the bugle beads, and now these just very simple up and down each time with a size 11 bead. And pretty soon I'll be able to just cut off that tail thread that's there as well. Like that. And my piece feels, you know, structurally a lot sort of stronger now too. And of course, with this sort of component style beading, which I love doing, I love, love, love making components in beading, all of a sudden you can start to think about, okay, well, maybe this could be the start of a pendant set, or it could be, you know, repeating this sort of pattern to make components for a bracelet. So component beading is a great way to, you know, make the same small piece over and over again, but think about how you would actually use that to build a larger piece. Now I'm just going to get rid of that tail thread. And remember that this is the back of the piece. It's the flat part of the candy bead. So look at the depth that's now happened as a result of that. We've got the really fun edge around the back there of the bugle beads alternating with the size 11s. We've got the mini gem duos in there as well. We've got sort of the red and gold edge, candy bead in the start. So there's lots of layering that's happened with this piece now. Now I might just do a little bit more. So if I come back through, I want to come back through that sort of gold bead there. So that one there I want to come out of and just pop one more edge piece there to even build that out further. So this time it could be a red, and we could potentially bring in the, actually I'm going to start with gold, red, white, because remember we had those spacer beads at the start, white and gold. And let's see what that looks like if I go through that next. Yep, look at that, beautiful. So I've actually now created a really good repeating theme with those beads. And the only thing I've added to this is my stash of gold 15. So look at how that edge now looks with those right on them. Created a really good, and that's going to give me a great little drop to add that Christmas box to as well. Ivy's been drawing some Christmas tree Christmas acrylic shapes and things here. So we'll show those in a sec, Ivy. Let me finish this bit first.
It's very dry.
Oh, okay. We'll wait till it dries then. Okay.
I made a mistake on this one, but then I fixed it. This was the mistake, but then I fixed it and then it made it beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so I'm going through those up beads on the bugles that I had put on before. And now, as I said, instead of that sort of, boring flat circle, I've actually got a really dimensional, structured piece now that's got some good weight to it that is going to hold up with the weight of the enamel piece at the bottom. Like that. And repeated the themes of red, white and gold throughout as well. And spacer beads, I really like these, I use them a lot in different projects, but the fact that they create that sort of accent point too on this edge is really nice as well. Red and gold. Okay. Red and gold through there. One more to do. And you can see here how much sort of depth and layering is in that piece and points of difference to look at as well. I need one more spacer bead, which are over here. Now, always when I do these design on the fly sessions, I won't get to do both earrings today. I will go back and finish those, and you will be able to see this whole video up on YouTube after today's session, because Facebook doesn't keep them for any longer than 30 days anymore. So everything is always available on YouTube afterwards. Okay, let's have a good look at that layering now. So again, we've created a bit of depth here with the candy bead and the Gem Duo minis sort of standing out. We've got some structured layering at the back with the bugle beads, and the little up and down red bead in the back of each of those. And then I just finished that off with that little accent edge as well. Now, the little drop there, the little white spacer bead is perfect for me to be able to add on that Christmas charm. Okay. Now, the Christmas charms and any of these enamel charms, they, will have holes going, this way, whatever. And depending upon how you want to attach it, you have to think about your attachment method for something like this. So one of the ways I like to do this is pick up, 3 to 4 size 15 beads, come from the back through to the front of the charm like that. And then I want to pop a little bead on there that's going to hold it in place. And I think I will use those little bicone crystals that Michelle gave me. So I'm just going to pick up one little bicone like that. And I don't want the 15 to come through the hole of the charm. I want the 15 to stay at the back. And one of them's popped through. Okay, so sort of leave it a bit loose so that the 4 15s stay at the back. Pick up the little bicone, and then I'm going to go through the hole again of the charm. So again, I'm at the back of the charm, pick up another 4 of the gold beads, and then I'm going to go through the opposite side of the spacer bead. And when I pull that tight, you can see there how the little dangle now features a charm on the front of the piece. I'll just pull that really taut. So it now means that the hole for the charm doesn't matter whether it was a vertical versus horizontal. This way, the little crystal holds that in place. So I'm just going to go through a couple of those edge beads again and come back and switch direction. So I'll create a little knot there on that edge, and then I can swap direction and go back through and just repeat that thread path again so everything is nice and secure. So go through the gold beads. So remember, I had 4 on each side, and I want to make sure that they don't pop through the hole of the charm. I want them to stay at the back. And one of the ways you can do that is just pop another size 11 in between the 4 at the back. and that'll stop them from moving through that hole. It depends on the size of the hole and the charm as well. You know, they're not necessarily all uniform and exactly the same. But if you look now closely at the back, you can see I've got the 4 beads there either side. I've got the little 11 holding that the crystal at the front and stopping the 15s from going through. And then I'm just going to go back down through that thread path again because I want to get to the front and just secure the crystal. So I'll go through the 11 that we popped on there, go back through the front. So there's my little bicone sitting nicely in the front on that hole, and I just sort of straighten it so that the bicone part of it pops in. So you can see how that, and it matches the little red crystal that's there as well. And then I can just pop a 15 either side of that bicone. Go back through the back again. And that just sort of finishes that off really nicely as well. Okay. So there is one component finished. Oh, no, sorry, not finished because I've got to add an earring hook at the top. So I need to do a hook right at the top. So that's just a simple matter of creating a loop that'll sit off the opposite white accent bead up the top here. Let's get my needle through there. So I will just create a little gold loop there and then attach an earring finding to that so you can see the concept of how that happens. So what do we think about that as our first earring design from this particular Christmas pack? It's got a really nice layered component. You can create other things. We've got the Christmas present charm. I could have used the Santa charm. So lots of things. Could have added the Baroque charm with that as well. So lots you can actually do with that component. But let's put that one aside and have a look at one of the next pieces. So the Santa earrings, again, I think that's a really simple capture of a Rivoli and then a similar sort of drop that you could do with that one. So I might put those ones aside because I really want to play with this bead here. So these were called the Vintage Cab Aurora Red. And they've got this lovely sort of paisley style pattern and they match beautifully with those little Baroque drops. So I think that's a really nice, easy one to do. So let's have a look at how we'll build that out. Now, again, similarly, I could do a similar sort of concept with the, you know, the red beads around the two holes. But I think the challenge is this is a much larger expanse than what the candy bead is. So the edge, I think, would be slightly loose. So let's just have a look. See, we've got a, you know, really sort of high edge there. So I think we'll need something a bit different to capture that. So maybe we might do some silver with this one rather than gold. So I'm just popping out some size 11 silver beads. I'll just put that aside as well. Clean up some of my stuff up here. Because I think, you know, we could pop some of these fire polishes in with it. We've got the red, we've got the white there to do. We'll think about what that's actually going to add in with that as well. So let me get some more thread. Okay, so we're on to part 2 now. This is the Aurora bead with the Baroque bead. And we'll see what actually happens with these ones. So this one I think is more about creating a peyote or a right angle weave little strip. I think will work really well with this. So we might do a right angle weave strip. And I can alternate this with some red colour so that you can see the 2 different colours. So to start a right angle weave strip, I'm just picking up 4 beads in the size 11. Bring those down till I've got, you know, a tail thread there and go back through those 4 beads like that. And then come back through the very first bead added. When I pull that nice and taut, I've got a lovely little cross pattern happening here. So that little cross pattern is the start of a right angle weave piece. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate red and silver. So I'm going to pick up 1 red and 1 silver and 1 red, go back through that first silver bead, and you can see there I've got my start of a red and silver pattern. Now the next pattern I want to do will be all silver. So this time I'm going to pick up 3 silver size 11s, go through the silver bead that I'm coming out of. So I've got that lovely little cross pattern happening again. And then I'm going to come back right around to the opposite silver bead here. And I'm going to pick up one red, one silver, one red, and go through that first silver. So you can see the pattern that's happening there. Now what I need to make sure is that this pattern is even to go around these cabs. Now I've done this sort of a technique before, so I've got a bit of an idea of how many repeats of this I'm going to need. But can you think of how many repeats we'll actually need to go around? Because remember, want to make sure that the red is consistent, that we've got the right number of gaps. And it's a bit loosey at the moment, but that's okay. It tightens up the more that we actually build on this. So I will continue just doing my red interspersed with silver here. Like that. Another silver. And I've got a feeling I need 4 red components. So that's 4 full silvers and 4 reds. So, oh no, I think I need more than that. Oh, I need double that. What am I talking about? Okay. I need 16. Okay. And then we'll join those in pattern sequence as well to create that little ring. So this concept of right angle weave, really good for sort of capturing these odd shaped or, you know, wide-ish sort of cabochons. You can do it around a Rivoli as well, but they're a bit finer. Whereas this it sort of works really well because then you can build out and do some peyote off those pieces to capture them. So it's an alternative to doing a peyote ring. And it's got a little bit more flex than what peyote has. So I can sort of pull and stretch this to fit around a piece rather than having to be super, super exact in how many beads I need. I just need to make sure that I've got an even number so that I can do that beadwork around it. So who else have we got joining here today? I've got Michelle and Wynette and Glenda. Anyone else joined us here today, either from Melbourne or from afar? Just sing out in the comments. I'd love to say hello to you too if you've joined online. I can see there's a few more people there, so please sing out and say hi and tell us what you're doing beading-wise today. Okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As I said, I think I need 8 red components and 8 silver components. So I'll just keep doing those until I've got the right number. And then I will do a join to go around this little cab. That should be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So I'm going to do one more full silver one, which means that I'll have 8 silver like that. Okay, so there's my 8. When I wrap that around, when you can see how I wrap that around that piece, it's a bit sort of loose, but that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. And then I'm just going to join it with one final red join. So I pick up one red bead. I'm just going to wrap that around my finger so that it's flat. So I know that I'm not twisting that piece. And then I'm going to bring that red up through the very first silver section that we added. And then I'm going to grab another red and come down through the opposite side. Again, I haven't twisted that piece. I've used my finger to hold that and guide that around. Okay, and now that will sit just over, look how that's going to sit over the top of that Aurora red piece there. Now, what I want to do though, it's obviously very loose, it's not attached. We actually want to build some peyote off this to hold that in place. So I could use a different colour here. We might use a white maybe. A white. I've got some white 15s there. They might be a bit small. I might need a white 8, I think. So I'm going to ask my assistant Ivy here to see if she can find me a white size 8 bead over there. and we'll pop some of those in.
A white side.
A white size 8 bead, Ivy, we need in here in the white drawer. And there's some white 8s. Okay, so I've got some white size 8 beads here, and they've got a little bit of a sparkle to them, an AB sparkle. And I'm just going to pop one size 8 bead in between each of those up beads from the right angle weave row that we did. So you can see how they just pop in really nicely there. Morning, Carmel. Good morning, Jay. Nice to see both of you here today as well. So you can see there, that starts to draw that in as a really nice little ring around this piece. And if you've done my snap, crackle and pop class, you'll recognize this method. So think about this. I mean, when we did snap, crackle and pop, it's a size 14 mil cab. This one's a 13 mil, so slightly smaller, but the flexibility of this right angle weave ring means that we can tighten that up over the top of these Aurora vintage cabs. So I'm just popping the white size 11s in, and you can see how that just sort of draws that edge close as well. And then we'll place the little cab in and see how that actually looks. Like that. Okay, and when I put that into my piece, you can see there it's just going to sit over the edge there. Now, of course, we've got the holes either side of this cab too, which are an advantage to be able to stitch through and help hold that in place. But I'm also now going to go to the opposite side and do the same thing and add that size 11 bead either side of that right angle weave strip that we started with, like that. Okay, let's have a look. We'll do that, and then we'll take advantage, as I said, of those 2 holes that are in the cab to help stitch that in place. And I think what I'm going to go on to next will be some of those beautiful red splash lipsy beads and the Amos beads. And I can see there's a lovely Christmas themed pendant coming out of those. So we'll go on to those in a second. Again, as I said, Michelle's popped a link, I think, in the comments there, that if you're interested in grabbing one of these really great Christmas themed kits, she has those available. So make sure that you can get some Christmas beads, and if you don't get them projects done for this year, you'll have them ready in time for next year as well. Great to give as gifts, and it's really, you know, lots of Christmas themed things happening. If you're part of Seed Beads and More, you may have seen on one of the designers who hasn't been featured as yet, but is coming. So my donated pattern will be coming up very soon as part of Seed Beads and More, which is super exciting. Lovely to design a Christmas project for that group. Now I'm going to get rid of that tail because that's now starting to annoy me, so I'm just going to zap that off. Get that out of the way. So you can see now I've got this really great ring. Right angle weave with the size 11s either side. So it's nice and firm. My little bead will fit nicely into that. And I'm going to take advantage of those holes and stitch that through. So let's do that now. So I want to sort of be around in a middle part of this little ring. So I'll just have my needle coming out of one of those silver beads, but I'm going to point the needle to the inside of the ring, find one of the holes and just go right through to the other side, and sort of again move the needle to come through one of these edge beads. And I know underneath there, I'm just going to dig around, there was the opposite hole, so we'll just sort of push that through to the opposite hole. So now it's sort of stitched in place. Now, it's not firm and tight yet, but we can do that. But you still see the beautiful pattern either side of that bead. We've got our little seed beads that have been attached with that ring. And I might just try and dig around and find those holes and just go through them one more time. So I think it was around sort of here. No, there it is. So great to have those holes there to be able to bead through. And you can't see where that thread has gone through on the opposite side here. But I want to now firm that up by adding some sort of 15 or something to start to close that in. Now with this bead, they are, you know, there's a feature on both sides, so you could have the pattern show, but I could bead the back of this as well. So let's go through. Great suggestion, Glenda. You want us to do Christmas design in the fly in November. Well, Michelle and I can do that next year. Not a problem at all. Okay, now I'm coming out of a white bead here next to a silver. And remember, I had 8 beads to start with. So this is where my math starts to come into this. So I want to sort of make my little section to go over to that next silver section there. I think, no, I'm going to be cleverer than that. I'm going to come up out of where a red bead is. So I'm making this the back of my piece because I want to leave the front really open. And I'm now going to add in, let's pop in one white size 15 bead. And I'm going to go all the way through to the next red bead like that. The one white size 15 and go all the way through to the top of the red bead. So what that's going to do is give me little anchor points then to be able to net the back of this piece. So I've secured it by doing the threads through the 2 holes. And now I'm wanting to sort of bead over the back of it. As I said, you don't have to. You could leave it sort of open, but I want to just sort of encapsulate the back of this with some nice netting. And then we'll work out how to attach the drop to this as well. So it might be a similar sort of attachment, or we could do some little fringing. We might use those little crystals and do some fringing with that. So you can see now, like it's sort of standing up a little bit at the back, but what that's done is give me a really good anchor point from those size 15s. So I'm coming back up through the first 15 that I added here, and let's create a little net. So I might do 2 white, 1 red, and 2 white, and I'll see what that looks like going through that next 15 just here. Yep, that'll work. So netting is the concept of having some odd number of beads and being able to use in the next round a center bead to be able to draw those tighter. So this one here, it looks sort of loose and standing up at the moment, but my next round will tighten those right up, I think. If not, I've got my count wrong and we'll start that again, but I think this should work. So I'm just coming up through that 15 anchor bead that I put in the previous round, and I need some more little white beads. Go through the anchor, and then can you guess which bead I'm going to use to actually draw those closer together? Tell me what you think I'm going to utilize in the comment. Because I've purposely done a different color bead and a different size bead for that explicit reason. So this is, you can see there, see how it's sort of standing on the edge there over the back of the piece? But what that'll do, it's going to flatten out shortly when I use those anchor beads, sorry, those center beads to draw that together. So there's all of my little edge. There's the front. So the front, it looks really good. The front is not covering over the edge. I might put one more row in just to tighten it. We'll see when I get around to the front. But I'm really netting the back of this now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through every one of those red beads. Just like that. And we'll see if that closes up. Yep, beautiful. for every one of the red beads here. Come on. Now, next year when I do my planning for design on the fly sessions over January, so I will start to do that again next year. And great suggestion, Glenda, about doing the Christmas one in November. Absolutely can accommodate that. But next year they will all be on YouTube. They won't be on Facebook. So I'm giving you the warning now. If you don't have a YouTube account and you'd like to comment, you can still watch, but if you'd like to comment and join in, you will need a YouTube account to do that. And the reason why I'm moving these all to YouTube next year is that Facebook deletes these videos after 30 days. So I have to put them on YouTube anyway. So next year I am actually just going to do them straight onto YouTube. So they will still continue on sort of the second Saturday of the month, but they will be on YouTube next year. So now what I'm doing is I've drawn that sort of tight, and it's not a perfect ring yet, but I'm just going to go through each of those red beads and I'm just adding in one red bead in between just to help tighten that little ring up. So you can see how that's just sort of capturing over the back of the piece there with some really nice little star-shaped netting it's turned out to be now with the little nets happening. And I'm just going through every one of those red beads with another red bead to make that nice ring flatten out. So that's sitting, the thread is actually sitting on top of the thread from the previous round. One more, like that. And then I'm just going to draw my thread through those red beads, those final red beads that I added. So they're the ones that are just sort of sticking up. Like that. And when I draw that nice and tight, I should have that lovely nice ring that's sitting. I'll just sort of maneuver that so it's in the center. Yep, there we go. Push that down with my thumb so you can see there all the netting that's happened at the back of that piece. So you can see the whole front of that cab now as well. It's held that together really well. We utilize those two holes there to capture that. I've got some nice netting at the back. You know, you can continue to sort of strengthen that by going through all of that again if you wanted to. But the pattern is sort of reflective of the front of the cab too, you know, with the red and the white and the little bit of silver in there as well. So remember, we're going to attach that Baroque bead at the bottom of these. So we'll think about that. And I think I might do some fringing on the top of that Baroque bead. So I'm just going to come, so I'm comfortable with that as a finish at the back. I think the front's okay. I don't want to come over the edge of the front too much. Let's just go up to the front and have a look and see whether I need to add anything extra to the front of this. So I'm just trying to get the needle to go where I want it to go. It's not cooperating. I'll find another angle. And come out of that front edge. Now remember on the back I put a white bead on top of every red. So if I was going to do anything I would continue that on the red bead. So let's just see, we might just pop one white size 15 over the top of each of those red beads. Yeah, okay, I'm comfortable with that. I don't really want to cover up too much of the front of this little cab because I think the pattern is in the cab itself, but just one little white 15 has given that edge a tiny little bit more structure. So pull that nice and taut. Doesn't impact the front of the cab at all. Okay. Yep, that's okay. And then we're going to do a little tiny bit of fringing with those red cyan crystals on top of the Baroque. Little drop, an earring loop, and wham, there's another pair, well, another single of a pair of earrings done. Again, I will go back and create the secondary one of those and show you a finished pair in the finished video, which will be available on YouTube after today. Okay, so I've got how many more? One more to do. And that creates that sort of second pair really easily. It's nice and secure now around there. So you can see the lovely little edge of red and silver right around the edge. Okay, we've got the nice Baroque part finished. And what I'm going to use, this is one of the reasons I love to use two different colours in these types of things, because it gives you a really good idea of where to actually attach things to. So the drop, etc., can attach really easily off that as well. So we've got the Baroque here. And again, it's a matter of thinking about the holes and where the holes land and whatever with that. So I'm actually going to pick up, I think, 5 silver. I'm coming out of a red bead. I'm picking up 5 silver. I'm going down through the Baroque bead. And again, I'm going to pick up 5 at the back. I'm really just sort of guessing how many. I'm using a size 11 bead, not a 15. Partly because I think the 15 will look a little bit flimsy with this drop. And now I'm going to, because I'm going to go through 2 beads, I'm actually going back through exactly the same direction that time. And now I want to add on another section of 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go, I'm coming out in the opposite way of that size 11 bead. I'm going to go back down through the Baroque bead like that. So what I'll end up is a double row basically. And now I'm going to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the size 11 beads, and I'm going to go through the opposite direction on that red bead. So you can see now I've got that double row of beads holding the Baroque bead in place. Sorry, I just flipped and dropped that. So it gives it a little bit more substantial weight as well. And it also gives us a really good structure point to pop some of those little bicones in. Okay, so we have these little ladders here of size 11 beads. So I'm just going to pop 1 bicone in between 2 of the ladder beads there. Come on. Making sure that I'm putting it on the front of that piece as well. So you can see there now I've just popped 1 little bicone in. I'm going to go back down through probably 4 beads like that. And I'm going to grab another little bicone, come up through the 4th bead. So I'm really just embellishing that little strip, just like that. We might put 1 more at the top and 1 more at the bottom, I think will be nice. Again, I'm sort of guessing where these go. You could start this at either the top or bottom. I started it in the middle, doesn't really matter. But I'm just sort of filling out that ladder with the bicones. And again, I'll come up through the 5. Okay, so look at that. I've got this lovely little ladder now of the silver either side with the bicones leading straight down into that Baroque bead. So it really continues the theme of the red as well. Really happy with that, actually. I've not done that before. That's a new sort of technique for me, a new way of decorating that drop feature, but it really has extended the length of that Baroque bead really well. And then the last thing to do would be to add a little loop. So again, I'll go to the opposite side of the top of this bead, the vintage art bead that we've got here at this top. I'll go to the red bead that's sitting right at the very top of that. So remember, my trick with using different color beads is the anchor point telling me where to actually attach things. So it'll be off this red bead here is where I will do that drop. So there's a secondary earring design done with the Baroque bead and the art cabochon beads. So I'm pretty happy with that one too. I'm going to put that one aside. So that's 2 down. Now let's have a look, and I'm using one of my big desk boards here today. So if you've not seen the boards from On a String, these desk boards are fantastic for spreading yourself out and having lots of beads everywhere. And they're available at the On a String shop if you are interested in any of those. Have a look at the desk board.
There's an On a String shop?
Yeah, there's an On a String shop.
Where is it?
It's online. It's not a physical shop. It's an online shop. Okay, I'll just pop some of these away so that I don't make too much more of a mess. And okay, let's have a look now at the Arcos and the Lipsy beads and see what we can do with them, because I really think Santa needs to make an impression here somewhere. Now these, obviously, with that sort of gold splash colour and the gold of the Santa, lead themselves to adding in the gold pearl, potentially some more of the bugle beads as well, which I've just spilt all over my desk, some of the kalos beads. So you can see that sort of theme works really well with those two. So let's have a bit of a think about what we might do with Santa. I think I probably need a center cab to work some of these around. So I'm just going to grab out of my stash here. I want some plain cabs. No, not plainest. Where's my plain ones? They're right down the bottom. So I'll grab my plain cab box out, and let's see if I've got a gold or a red one here in my stash that will work. Now I've got this pink and gold here, which sort of works, but it's not exactly right. I've got a silver, which we don't really want to go to silver. I've got a red Lunar Soft one, which we all know what they're like in terms of being sticky. So I might do that one because it's the right colour, but it's not necessarily. Oh, look at that. That's better. We're not going to use the horrible Lunar Soft. I've got a red cab. Now that one is and I would have brought this from Michelle at some point. That is a 18 mil size. So this is where I love these green rulers with the holes in them for measuring the size of cabs. Super easy. So grab yourself one of those from Officeworks or whatever. They've actually got all the sizes written on the front of them. So as soon as I pop that cab in there, I know that that's a size 18 cab. So they're a great tool to have in your bead stash. So I'll put that one away, because I think you need to have some sort of centre cab for this. Now, before I go on to this, I'm just going to show you. Come around here, Ivy. Ivy's been making, come and hop up here and you can see up on the camera, she's been making some Christmas decorations. So we've got this sort of acrylic Christmas tree here that she has painted and she's tied a ribbon on. She's done a gingerbread man as well. He probably needs a bit more work on him. He needs some buttons or something down the front. So we could do a little bit more work on the gingerbread man. She's done a star and a ribbon as well. And she's been tying gold ribbon onto all of these. So very productive session. I like your Christmas tree the best. I think that looks really good.
That's my favourite. I also like the star.
Yeah, you've done a very good job. You could do some more decoration on them now that they've dried. Okay. Nanny's going to go on and do some more. Back to the drawing board. That's right.
And you're nearly done, so we can go make some more stuff. And I also made this one.
Oh, okay, got another one there. Good. Okay, again, I'm going to pick out some white fire line, white to work with these sort of colours. And we want to create some sort of ring that sits around this, and then Santa's going to drop from the bottom, drop out of the sky out of these beads. Now the white gold splash kalos beads, again, a beautiful two-hole bead, work really well with Amos and with the Lipsy beads. And let's just do a little bit of a repeating pattern. I'm going to start with kalos and Lipsy and see what happens with those. I love using these beads interchangeably. Depends on the size of your cab, how many you're going to need. Obviously, trying to get an even number every time is always a really good aim if you can. And that's great because when you want to do other netting or, you know, finishes on them, even numbers are easier. So that's always my aim, is to try and get an even number. It doesn't always work, but I'll try that. So... Okay, thanks Juanette for coming today. Don't forget you can check out the rest of this on YouTube at a later stage. So happy Christmas and thanks for joining today. Okay, let's look at what that looks like in terms of this ring. Is that going to be enough to go around my cab? Yep, I think so. We're just going to count them. Nearly done. So 4, 8. Yep, so we've got an even number. 8 Lipsies and 8 Kalos beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So what I'm going to do now is come back through that very first Lipsy bead here, like this. And I've got a really nice ring there. Now, the Lipsy bead is slightly larger than the Kalos, so you can see when I sort of fan that out. And then look at that 18 just sits beautifully right in the middle of that as well. And then Santa's going to drop off there and be dropping out of the chimney that we're creating. So let's go and make some more structure now around this piece. So again, 2-hole beads, fantastic for building out and creating that structure and depth. So what I'm going to do is pop a gold bead in between. I'm going to grab my matte size 11 gold beads here. Just sprinkled some on the floor as I did that. And I'm going to go through the 2-hole bead in between the Kalos and the Lipsy bead like that. Now one will be up and one will be down because of the height of the Lipsy versus the Kalos, but that's okay. And then we can add some of the Amos beads around as well. And then I'll think about how I'm going to set that cab in the middle. And that's possibly doing some sort of netting or something to hold that in place. Okay. And adding these sort of little size 15 beads either side. There's a Lipsy that doesn't have 2 holes. We need to put a hole in that. Sometimes with the 2-hole beads, there'll be one that doesn't have a hole all the way through. This is where your beading all is really helpful. I'm just being gentle and trying to poke that hole through. And if not, I will have to start again. No, it does not want to cooperate. Look at that. Sometimes, so 2-hole beads got 2 holes on one side and 1 on the other. Okay, we just have to start that again and make sure I find the right one that doesn't cooperate, because if I spend too much time on that, I could end up breaking the bead and then having to start again anyway, which, you know, nobody wants to do that. Now, isn't that interesting? When I look at that now, have a look how the size 11 has just popped in between each of those. So let's just pull that apart and I can just pop the size 11s in automatically rather than add them in later. Okay, good planning. All right, size 11 then. Let's do an 11, Lipsy, 11. Just make sure that that wasn't the dud Lipsy. No, I don't know where that one went. Could have probably binned that, but anyway, that's okay. Kalos, 11. Check that. That's got 2 holes on both sides. 11, Kalos, These ones with the little gold splash on them are beautiful. Really nice finish on those. Just add another dimension and sparkle without, you know, too much effort really. So how many have I got there now? That should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 6, oh 7. Good. So obviously I've gotten rid of the dud one. And one more kalos and one more lipsy. So again, because I'm, you know, designing on the fly with these, literally making it up as I go. Sometimes my, you know, construction method or etc. will change depending upon what I'm actually trying to achieve. So that will make a bigger ring. Isn't that interesting? So there's a bigger ring straight up because those size 11s have all gone to the inside when before I had put them to the outside. So I want to retain them going to the outside, which means I need to move my needle to the opposite hole here. And then I'm just going to go through the lipsy bead. Okay, I think this will work. So now I'm making the gold 11s that I put in sit around the outside. And by going through that inner hole of both the kalos and the lipsy, I'm drawing that circle close. Yeah, that's working, which is good. And depending upon the size of the cab that you're using for something like this will determine the amount of beads that you'll need around the outside. And sometimes you might be able to, you know, change the dimension of that inner ring by using a 15 bead in between, for example, or an 11 bead, something like that. So always, you know, think about the size of the piece that you're trying to capture, and then what's the circumference of beads that you need to be able to do that. And literally making it up as we go. Oops. They're going to look really good with Santa. There's the inside. Okay, let's draw that tight and see how that ring looks. Looks pretty good, and let's just check the cab is going to fit in there really nicely as well. Okay. Now, there's different ways you can capture this. You know, I could put a piece of backing fabric potentially around this. That could work. Those lipsy beads could sit up over the edge of the cab. We could put some sort of 15s over the edge of the kalos to create a little picot as well. So there's different methods to actually capture that. I think I might actually glue that down because I think gluing it down and then building something over the top will work really well. So I need a little piece of stiff stuff out of the box here. And I might use what sort of colour? Have I got a reddish colour? I've got, I'm going to use the pink. You can use black or white, you know, different colours to do that. But I want to use a colour that's as close to the red as possible. So we'll use the pink colour. So cut myself a little square. And again, when you're using something like this, it's really good to just knock those corners off and create it a bit rounder. And that's so that your thread doesn't catch. That's all. So really easy, and it's not the right shape yet, but it will do. So I'm just going to grab some glue, and I'll use some E6000 glue. This is a new one. Yep. Oh no, or newish. So it hasn't all dried and gone horrible yet. I'll just pop that right in the centre there. Over there. Just sort of stick that down on the piece. And then my little ring is just going to sit over the top of that really nicely. Yeah, look how that looks. You can see there that looks really good with the little pink at the background. Okay, so I can now stitch that ring down if I want to. That might be the way to actually attach that. So my thread is coming out of an inside hole. Let's just stitch that down and see how that looks. So literally going through those little thread bridges between the beads, just using that thread bridge to hold that little ring in place. I think, I mean, I'll definitely do some more work over the top of the edge of this so it's nice and neat, but this is just holding that in place around that cab. And because I've still got a bit of flexibility, I can sort of stretch that to fit around the edge as I want it to fit as well. So yeah, the thread bridge comes in handy as an anchor point. Could actually get some red cup chain out and put some cup chain or something on this too. Add some more sparkle or some gold cup chain would look really nice. So this is where, you know, Christmas time, you get to add as much sparkle as you can to different pieces. So because the Lipsy bead and the Kalos beads are slightly different lengths, you can see where the Lipsy touches the cap, the Kalos sort of sits a bit apart from it. So that'll be my gap then to add on some sort of edge over the Kalos bead. Oh, glue didn't hold very well there. Okay, so I'm just, yeah, continuing doing that sort of capture over those threads of the, particularly noting that the Lipsy bead will sit right on the edge of the cap. And then just popped off again, possibly need some more glue on that, or some beads to hold it in.
When you're done, can I wash my hands?
You can go and wash your hands now if you like.
I can't turn on the tap.
Oh, okay. Ivy has pen all over her hand, but that's okay. Pa will be home soon. Pa can help wash her hands. I'm just going to pop some more glue because that definitely didn't take. And really, you know, if I should leave that to sit and dry properly, but who's got time for that? Not me. Okay, let's see where I'm up to. So I want to actually do something that makes the Lipsy beads sit at the edge, but the Kalos beads have the gold over the top of them to help hold it in. So what I'm going to do is come out of a Lipsy bead in front of a Kalos.
This is what I wanted.
Oh, good. So I'm going to pick up 3 gold of the size 11 beads here. And I'm going to go through that next Lipsy bead. Let's see if that actually works. I think 3, yep, 3 will work. Okay, let's try that again. So 1, 2, 3 of the gold, and then I'm going over the top of the Kalos and through the next Lipsy. Yep. And what that's going to do is create a really nice little picoed edge that will help hold that cab in place. See how that's starting to look now? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now again, this is a sort of technique, as much as I'm theming this for Christmas with that Santa drop, you could do this sort of technique on any colour combo of Lipsy, Kalos and cabs, and all of those are available from Michelle with the biggest range of these types of beads known to man. So absolutely let your imagination run wild in terms of what colours you'd like to utilise, but you can do this same technique over the top of any of these cabs and Lipsy and Kalos beads. And I've got lovely anchor points to add other beads in. This is certainly not holding it firmly just yet, but it's certainly getting better, and I may need to do another layer over the top as well. But it's also a different way of capturing a cab without having to do that sort of peyote edge over the top if you didn't want to do that. So you can see there I've got really nice little edge pieces here. Now, if I come up through that centre bead, and this is a great way potentially to add in maybe these red fire polishes. I'm just going to pop out some 15s as well. Well, you can go and get something to eat. Or the pearl. Let's do the gold pearl, I think. The 3mm gold pearl. So I'm going to pick up a gold 15, a gold pearl, and a gold 15. And I'm going to go through the next centre size 11 bead. Yep. So you can see now how that pearl is just really sitting nicely and holding that in place. So 15 pearl and 15, and through that next centre size 11 bead. Could look very sort of Tudor-like with these sort of colours of red and gold. Very royal, Christmas, but again, the technique is more about being able to apply that to any colour combo you wanted to do. I like how that looks. What do you think about that? Okay. I have some lovely beads to sort out when I finish this. So I will sort all of them and put them back where they need to go. My sessions of these design on the fly, my bead room ends up looking like something's exploded because I'm grabbing stuff out left, right and centre and leaving doors open and drawers open, but it's all in good fun. And back through the first centre bead. Now that cab is now well held with the pearls around the edge, the lipsy beads. Looks really cool actually, really happy with that. The pink, you can't tell whether it's pink or red, that doesn't mean anything, it just blends beautifully. And let's work out now what we're going to do around the outer edge, and this is where we can start to add in the Amos beads as well. So I'm just going to make my way down to that outer edge. And I can actually, because it's, you know, got that foundation fabric at the back, I can just pull my needle to come through and come out where I want it to come out of, basically, because we'll cover all of the back of that up as well. So I can come out of a size 11 bead and potentially add that same, you know, 3 size 11s maybe. I think I'll probably need 4 over the back of the lipsy bead there. Sorry, the kalos bead. Yep, 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. And go through the 11 lipsy and 11. Now I don't know whether 4 or 3. I think 4 is too big. Yeah, see it's a little bit loose there. I think I only need 3. Where'd my all go? I'm just going to break one rather than undo it. And then I'll break one of those. Yeah, that's a bit better. That's firmer. Okay, it's probably better anyway because it's an odd number and I prefer to have 5 rather than 6 around the edge. So 3 and go through the 11 there. Oh, one just fell off. You can see that it becomes really flower-like by adding these other beads around the edge. So 3 of the 11s through 3 beads. Like that. What do you think about that?
That's so pretty, Nanny.
You like it, do you?
Yeah.
2.
The best part about it is that you put the stuff around it.
Oh, you like that bit the best, do you?
The fluffy bit.
Yeah, the fabric.
What are you making?
This is going to be a Santa necklace. There we go. Look at that. We've got that beautiful little edge now of the gold size 11s. I do want to add these in somehow. I'm not sure yet what they might look like. You know, could potentially do 2 of those either side. That might work. Don't know if they add anything or not. I think they might detract from it a little bit, but I want the concept of using them. So remember, I've added 3 now around the kalos. So 3 gives me, obviously, with the 1 either side, gives me 5, which gives me a really great centre bead then to be able to work from. So the centre bead concept, let's think about it, because the Amos could end up in that gap. So if I pick up a gold, an Amos, a gold, and an Amos, and a gold, and I'll go through the next centre bead. Let's see how that looks. So I've sort of got that 2 petal. Yep, that might work. Okay, so gold, Amos, gold. I'm not too worried yet that, see how this is coming out of the edge of my, it's over the edge of my stiff stuff. I'm not too concerned because we'll be able to create a really nice sort of lacy effect by cutting away that like that. And see what I mean by that? I'm sort of thinking ahead of what that's going to look like. I mean, potentially I could cut that now before I do this edge, but I'll just keep playing with that for a minute. So keep doing a gold, Amos. I'm not sure about this yet, whether I like this or not. What do you think? Do we like this edge, or is it too much with the Amos beads? Could be too much by the time I then add Santa. Where did Santa go? Here. Could be too much. Could work for another piece, but not a Santa piece. I don't like it. I'm going to take them off. So again, design on the fly. We'll continue to design as we go. I like that better without the Amos. Okay, so I'm going to cut that edge away now because it's a sort of, I'm just really cutting around those beads. It's a bead embroidery piece, but it's not. I actually haven't got any stitching at the back here that I'm sort of worried about cutting through, because those beads have been attached through the bead rather than through the fabric. If you're doing a true bead embroidery piece, you'd have to be really careful, but because you can see there on the back where those tacking stitches held that first round down, I haven't needed to worry about that too much. Let's rethread that needle. So that looks really good, that piece. We can pop a Santa little drop at the bottom. You could also do, you know, some sort of stringing, fringing, edging with the kalos beads as well, and combine those in. So there's, yeah, it's definitely not finished yet, but we need some sort of backing piece to put on the back. I'm just going to take off those couple of sharpish corners there as well. And then we'll need some sort of backing fabric to put on there too. So I think I'll probably need a red or a gold leather to go on the back of that, which is down here. Let's have a look in this box. I've got lots of different bits and pieces of scrap leathers and things like that that work well with this type of thing. Definitely should have some, well, there's some red leather that will do on the back. Just going to cut a circle of that. This is a nice sort of soft lambskin style leather. It's really got a, you know, nice feel to it. And I'm just going to glue that on the back, and then we'll trim that off. So the pink stiff stuff that I used at the very start, you don't even see any of that by the time we do that edge piece and cover that with beads as well. So I'll just stick that on the top there. And then I'm going to trim away the excess of that leather. So just use the beads to sort of guide that around. And then we'll do a nice little edge on that and it'll be neat. I can get rid of the tail thread now as well because we're no longer using that. And I can now edge this piece. So there's the edge. You can see the 3 layers. We've got the beads, we've got the stiff stuff, and we've got the leather at the edge. And I'm coming out of a center bead there. So I could repeat the same pattern in terms of the pearl. That probably would look okay. Let's have a look what that looks like. So if I do a gold, a red, and a pearl. So I'm doing a slightly wider bridge than I did with the initial pearl and gold. And I go through the center bead. Let's see what that looks like. What that'll do is tie in the pearl that I had in the center there. And so you can see there pearl and pearl right on that edge. I don't know if that's a bit smallish yet, but it might be. I might need a bigger bead to fill that gap, but we'll try that and see how that goes for a couple and then assess whether I need to change my thinking. No, I think that works. So look at that. It looks really nice now, that lovely edge there, and then we can start to attach back to the leather as well. So you can do, you know, a bead embroidery back stitch. There's different ways to attach it. The leather is not going to fray or you know, create loose threads or anything like that. We're really just trying to cover that to make it a neat finish. So there's different ways to actually do that. Okay. You can see how that pearl is automatically, you know, sitting against the leather there really nicely as well. So gold, red, pearl, red, and gold. And if I think this is a bit tight, which I'm still not convinced because it's still slightly gappy, I think I could potentially go to a size 11 gold rather than the 15. I am going to do that. I am going to do that because I'm not happy with that being a bit loose. But what I am going to do is bring in a bright gold rather than the matte gold so that I've got that really good contrast of colours. Where is my bright gold? 11s. Silver. Can you see them there, Ivy? Bright gold 11s. Where are they? Bright gold 11s. Let's get some of those out. There we are. Because then I've got a really good contrast of matte and gold together, which, you know, sort of helps. And I think this is where I can start to put some of those gold bugle beads in as well, maybe, and create that nice spiked and, you know, spiked sort of edge. Star points could happen. There's lots of variations, adding in different beads and combos around those edges. Threading a needle is always, you know, the fun part as well. So as I said, this I will finish the secondary one of each of those earring designs over the next day or so, and the whole video will be available on YouTube afterwards. And for next year, all of my design on the fly sessions will be on YouTube due to, you know, Facebook not retaining the videos any longer, so they will be available and be broadcast live in exactly the same format as what today's session has been. So you will be able to comment and be part of the fun, and I look forward to working with all my beading suppliers for design on the fly next year. So I want to do a special, you know, thanks to Michelle for today's session. We also did winter whites with Michelle this year, which was another fun one you can find on YouTube. I also want to thank Linda for her sessions. We did pastels and we did a surprise box with Linda, and Angie, who did the citrus and the black and white themes. So I generally come up with the themes for the lovely suppliers to give me, but if you've got ideas of what you'd like me to do, please either send me a message or get in touch with the suppliers and tell them what they can actually give me as part of these design on the flies. These are the fun sessions I do all year. I love them and I really enjoy the creativity that comes out of those. And I hope you do too, because there are no two sessions the same. I never know what I'm going to make. I never know what I'm going to get in terms of beads. And we end up with some really cool designs out of them that I hope you get to learn from too. So thank you to the suppliers for those, and thanks to everyone who's come along and done these during the year with me, because they're great fun and I certainly enjoy sharing my creativity with you guys in this format. Okay, more happy with that than I was with the 15. So you can see there now that 11 edge sits really nicely around the leather. I can sort of attach that pearl bead down. I may still have my gap that I could put the Amos bead in. I'm not forgetting those. Maybe we could put them in that way. Actually, that might work. Okay, but let's attach down the pearl to the leather. So what I'm going to do is come through the pearl. I'm going to pick up a 15 bead. I'm just going to stitch through the leather. Let's see what happens when I do that. Yeah, don't like that. Don't like that. That's not nice. Nope. Ignore what I've just done then. I didn't like that. I could actually do a loop. That would be better. So let's do a little loop around the pearl and then I can net the back of them and see how that looks. So as I said, with this type of design, you can do a bead embroidery back stitch. There's lots of ways to finish this, but this is another fun way that you can do this sort of edge and not have to do that back stitch if you don't want to. So Jay wants to see a neon or orange and pink session. Oh, that's right up my alley. There you go. Thanks, Jay. There's a #1 suggestion already, Linda, for next year. I think I'll leave that one with you. Neon or orange and pink. Actually, that's probably 2 sessions together. I love that concept. Thanks, Jay. Okay, so I've picked up 5 beads, 2 15s, an 11 and a 15. And what I'm going to do, 2 15s, 11 and 2 15s. I'm going to go back through that pearl in the same direction. So I'm creating that little loop of beads around the pearl like that. But what that's going to do is that's going to flip over the edge. It's not going to stick out like it is now. Then I'm going to come up through the gold there, and maybe if I add a 11 Amos and 11, go through to the next pearl. See, I'm starting to get those Amos beads in. That's what I want. So pick up 2 15s, an 11 and 2 15s. Go back through the pearl in the same direction. Come out through the gold. So you can see how they're sitting out now, but they're going to be tucked away behind the leather. Okay, Amos, 11 and Amos, and go through the pearl like that. Determined I was to get the Amos beads in. Yep, that's going to be fine. So 2 15s, 11 and 2 15s through the pearl. 11. And the Amos beads potentially I could use that way too. That might be nice actually. What do you think? Should they go that way? Point out or pedal? Because when I pull those out, they're going to stick out like that. When if I put them that way, I think I like them upside down. Actually, let's do that. Sorry, you just need to see me just redo that bit. So I'm going to do the Amos beads with the point pointing out. Okay, point pointing out will create a really nice star effect. And then I could do some bugles over the top of that. Okay. Always thinking. All right, so I've now gone, and I might not need to do an 11. I might just need to do a 15 either side then, because the base of the Amos is wider than the base of the point. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, no, I don't like it. Don't like it. So you can see why I don't like it. See how it's sort of got to come all the way. What it's doing is drawing too much of a thread either side here. Yeah, sorry, Paula, that idea is not going to work. I need to just redo that. Okay, let's go back through and pick up a 15. What have I done there? Yeah, I liked the idea, but I don't think it's going to work with this because it becomes too thready. So again, let's pick up an 11, Amos, and 11, go through the 3, through the pearl like that. Yeah. Trial and error, as always with me with these, you know that, but it's good trial and error. Okay, 15, Amos, 15. And through the pearl. Yep. So there's certainly still more that can be built out off those Amos beads as well, because they might be a bit spacey at the moment, but absolutely we can build out more from them. What I'm trying to do now though is get enough structure behind the pearls to be able to attach them to the leather. So that's the critical bit right now, is getting that leather attached properly. The decoration part comes afterwards, but getting the leather down is what I need to do. And we've got those lovely little loops that will actually do that. So 15. I need some more of those. I love those check matte gold beads. My goodness, they're amongst one of my all-time favourites. And over the years, I know I've had other favourites, but these are certainly right up there now. I love the I've loved rose gold beads for many, many years, but I really like the matte gold. They're a big time favourite of mine. We just need those supplies to make them in 15s for me, Linda. Can you get onto that? Okay, getting through it. So I want to be coming out of that pearl every time, adding that little loop around the pearls, which will be our attachment point. And if you can hear crunching, that's Ivy eating crustkets in here with Nutella on them. Can anyone hear Ivy crunching in the background? She's crunching quietly now.
Good.
They're good. Excellent.
Before I had some with Nutella on it. I mean, not Nutella.
Vegemite.
Vegemite, but now I have them with Nutella on it.
Oh, good.
Vegemite do not taste good with it.
Oh, okay.
But Nutella tastes excellent.
That's good.
But I love Nutella. I'm going to go wash my hands.
Okay. All right, we're nearly done this.
And after you're done, can we do some, can I redo my makeup because mine fell off?
Yes, of course you can.
Is there text from my nose?
Yes, there is. Or Vegemite, I think it is. Okay, so I've got now my little Amos beads and my edge all the way around. And what I want to do is come out through one of these center size 11 bead, and I want to go all the way over to this other size 11 bead. So create that little loop that goes over it. So let's use some of the red beads in here as well. So maybe 1, 2, 3 red, maybe 1 pearl, and then 2 red. Let's see how that looks. Again, I'm just guessing the number of beads that will start to draw that net. See, look how that looks great actually. Over the back edge there. I'm going to run out of thread, unfortunately, but that's okay. Now the red beads, I need some more of those. So I've just used the those AB lined red beads here. So I'll just pick up 2 of those, a pearl and 2 of the red beads, and go through that next center size 11 behind the Amos. And look how that lovely net happens at the back of the piece now. And it, you know, it helps the Amos stand out really nicely too. But it means that the back can look just as nice as the front. And sometimes when you do that bead embroidery stitching, it just means that the you can see the threads through the leather, which you can't really help. It's very hard to hide and blind stitch that. But this way, you just sort of see this nice net that sits over the top. So just a different way of capturing your cabs with a sort of a semi bead embroidery technique. And again, I've used a different bead at the center point of my little loop here so that I know easily where I'm going to actually grab and find that next bead to go around. What do you think about that? I'm pretty happy with this. You know, it's a nice, easy technique to capture a cab in a different way. We started with the ring of the Lipsy beads and the Kalos beads and tacked that down around the cab, built up over the edge of that cab so that it held it in place with the sort of little pearls, then built out the edge of the piece again so that we had anchor points to create that tension point to be able to add the Amos beads in and the little pearls. So there's lots of different layering techniques in a piece like this that helps build that out and becomes really sort of structural in the end. And every time I add that sort of pearl, it helps those Amos beads stick out. Now, they're not finished for me. I've got to put some more gaps, some things in there. I'm going to have to add some thread, but it's a really good way now to see them stick out nicely. And then, of course, we'll just add our little Santa drop at the bottom. But again, you can utilize this type of a technique for any color combo or any sort of drop or finish at the end. It could be you pop a tassel at the end of something like this. You know, there's lots of ways to do that. So there's my net all the way around the back of the piece. Looks really neat. You can't see that pink that I put in at the bottom. And you can always, you know, add more and build more either side of these, but we're going to do a little bit more between those Amoses. But before I do that, I'm just going to add some more thread onto there as well. Now my thread method, you will have seen me do this before. There's my new thread. I'm just looping that over the top of my working thread. Draw that knot nice and close. Get my scissors and give them a really nice clean haircut. Get my lighter and just light and melt the 2 ends of that fire line and draw them together like that. And run my thumb and forefinger over it, and that creates a really nice knot there. Okay, so we're nearly at the end of this, and thank you for those that have stuck with me from the start. It's fantastic to see you here. Okay, now what I want to do is go all the way back up to that Amos bead, and I want to go through the top hole of one of those. So I don't need to attach or stitch down that net. It's holding everything in place, and I want to find my way to the top hole of an Amos bead. So I'm just using the beads to direct that pathway, and we will be coming sort of changing directions by going, like I changed directions I think earlier with one of my pieces I did, and I'll go through the top hole of the Amos bead there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build a little bridge down to that pearl. So let's pick up a 15, a gold and a red bead and see if that's enough. I think I need one more. Let's try another 15. 15 gold and red, and I'm going to go through the pearl bead like that. I'll just pull that little bit through. Yep. Now, is that too many? I don't think I needed that second 15. I'm just going to take one out. Yeah. Okay, so it was now it's going to be a gold, sorry, red, gold, and 15, and I'm going to go through the top hole of the Amos bead. See how that started to create those great points? So gold, red, and 15. Is that what I'm doing? No, around the other way. 15 gold and red. Got to remember that sequence and go through the pearl. And so then it's a red, gold, and 15 through the top hole of the Amos, like that. So look at how that looks fantastic, actually. I'm super, super happy with that. So really great way to get all of those little beads in place. Do a semi bead embroidery edge.
Honey Bun was chewing some of this.
Oh, was she? I'm glad you rescued it. Thank you. We've just rescued some ultra suede off the ground that Honey Bun was chewing. Notice I'm wearing my Honey Bun Christmas earrings today too.
She was chewing this one.
Oh, was she? Okay, that's Nanny's fault because I left it on the ground.
Yeah, that was your fault.
That was my fault, wasn't it?
It wasn't Honey Bun's fault.
No. So look how lovely that edge looks now with that Amos beads. You like that, Ivy?
That's pretty.
Yeah. So you can
Now
see
I'm
what I'm
jealous.
continuing to finish around that edge. Well, are you happy with that, people? Let me tell. Ivy loves it.
I'm jealous.
You're jealous, are you? One day you'll be able to bead like Nanny.
No, I'm jealous that you get that necklace.
Oh, I might have to give it to somebody special, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. You wonder who that might be.
Me.
Okay.
Daddy, what's your favourite earrings out of all these?
All right, Nanny's going to finish doing this first, okay?
I like these ones.
What did I miss there? I missed a gold bead. Okay, come back. Red in the middle. Red in the middle. Got to remember that every time, don't I? Yep. Oh, look, I've done it different. I've done red there, and then I've done gold there and gold there. Gosh, I'm going to have to redo those. Okay, you can see the edges that I've had done here. So I'm going to continue that. I'm going to undo where I've made a mistake here, and I've done red on this side, and then I've done gold on this side. So I will undo that and finish it. But I'm going to give that a wrap up now today. So I will come back and finish both of these pieces, but I'll just do a recap. So Santa is going to drop from the bottom of this starburst pendant. But remember, you can utilize this technique for anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be Christmas themed. It can be any sort of theme. So think about using cabochons, Amos, Kalos, Lipsy beads in creating this type of a thing. So that's one of the pendants we'll finish. One of the other pieces we did was this Baroque earring. So we've got the right angle weave capture here featuring the Baroque and that little embellishment of pearls, crystals right down the center of that as well. And then this 3D style present box earring as well, or could be pendant loop too. So different combinations of things on that as well. So I'm just going to wrap up today and say thank you so much to everybody for coming along and being part of Design on the Fly for Honest String over the year. I've really enjoyed it. I've loved being able to work with Linda, Michelle and Angie on creation of these pieces, and I've really enjoyed all the interactions I've had with people in doing them. And don't forget, these are all available on YouTube. There goes my gun. And they'll also be available on YouTube next year, so I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now. Good morning. It's Paula from Honest String, and I thought I'd just come back and show you what I finished working on yesterday from the Honest String Beadworx Design on the Fly Christmas session. So you would have seen me make the earrings with the little present box charm. So I actually finished off the second one of those earrings. And if you'll remember, they're actually a really 3D style with that sort of 3-layer back on the rear there with the bugle beads and the layer of seed beads. and then the tiny gem duos, the minis, that actually create that open wavy effect. Also attached the little present charm at the bottom of those earrings, so they're a really sweet little pair that are now finished. The second pair of earrings were the Baroque crystal drop with the art cabochon. So I did a right angle weave little capture there, did some netting at the back, and then attached the Baroque charm with a little crystal drop on there as well. So another pair of finished earrings. And thirdly, I actually did some more work on the cabochon. So I got to the point of actually adding in the Amos beads yesterday, and then my third sort of reiteration on the edges was to attach some little bugle beads, a double layer of those in between each of those points. And then I made this really simple chain just using the Lipsy beads and the Kalos beads, and did sort of 2 or 3 layers of fire line through that, and then just did a really simple button clasp on the end. So that's a beautiful finished pendant, and of course you could add the Christmas drop onto the bottom of it, but it is a really cute design that would work just as well in other colors, not just Christmas. And last but not least, I had another continuation with some more beads out of the pack that Michelle provided. So the 6mm cabs and some Kalos beads. This is not finished yet. This is just a concept at this point, but I can see where this will develop into being some sort of bracelet type effect as well. So I'll do some more work on that too. So again, thanks Michelle for the great beads in this kit. Really enjoyed working with them, and I hope you enjoyed seeing those projects as well.